Yes, people, welcome to the very first upload on this here YouTube channel. Now, I have some very exciting content with a bunch of exciting people coming out. But first, before we get into all of that, I thought I need to introduce myself. I need to give you the opportunity to get to know me before we get into all of that. And what better way to do so than in possibly the most narcissistic fashion known to man? We're going to be reacting to my own Instagram. We're going to be going through some of my old posts here and reacting to myself. Give you a little bit of background information, set up a little bit of a timeline of where it is that I came from. So if you start to follow along now, you have a bit of an idea of who I am. And if you already do follow me, you're going to see a bunch of posts that you otherwise would have never been able to see. So the plan is to make a bit of a series out of this, a little introduction to me. Today, we're scrolling all the way back to my very first post on this page. And you get to know where I started, where I came from, and you get to follow along from there. But today we're going to keep it casual. I've got myself a little cup of joe on the go, and we're going to take a trip down memory lane. Now, chances are, if you've found this video, you're here from my Instagram page. And if that's the case, what's up? Like, drop a comment so I know that you're here, and subscribe to follow along. And obviously follow along with everything on the Instagram. And if you found this not from my Instagram, I don't know how you got here. Very glad you made it. But follow my Instagram, rubeneddie.bb. If you don't know who I am, here's the best place to find out. I post daily updates, daily uploads, bunch of hee-hees, bunch of ha-has, bunch of check-ins, bunch of reels. We'll go through all of these posts in a later episode. Like I said, we're going to make a bit of a series out of this. Today we're going all the way back to day one. Then we're going to have my university days and the lockdown era. And then we'll have my natural prep from last year. And then we'll get into this current off season. But yeah, follow along. If you're interested in watching a young man chase his bodybuilding dreams every goddamn day, subscribe, follow the Instagram. You know where to find me. And if you really don't know who I am, let's start this with a little rough introduction. My name is rubeneddie.bb on Instagram. I'm originally South African. My whole family's from South Africa. I was born there in a little place called INSTA, but we moved to the UAE when I was a baby, and I grew up in Dubai, went to school in Dubai, finished my A-levels out here, and then went to university in the UK, in Wales, Cardiff specifically. I competed last year in the UK DFBA as a natural bodybuilder. You'll find out about that, and we'll go into great detail about that prep in a future episode. Off the back of that prep, we took the enhanced route in bodybuilding with the ultimate goal of becoming a professional bodybuilder, which is what we're chasing currently. And we're enjoying every single day of the process, so follow along. But for now, let's kick it back. Here you're going to get a bit of an idea of the future episodes to come. We're going to be going through all of these eventually with a little bit of extra background information from me. That's what I'm here for. Here we go. Oh, God alive. For the love of piss and shit. I'm glad I went through this in my own time, because this would have been an absolute jump scare to me if I didn't know what to expect here. Let's let this brew for a sec. I'll let it sink in. Let you just get a feel for what it is that we're looking at, and then I'll break it down. That's enough time. On the left, let's start there. This young man. This is me at 15, despite the fact that I look 9 years old. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's get straight to it. You might be thinking, FBI, this kid must have a great respect for law enforcement. But if you look at the fine print there, it stands for Female Body Inspector. The shirt goes on to say, for appointments, please call 1-800-MY-HOUSE. Now, firstly, I'm sorry. I need to apologize. That's an awful effort from 15-year-old me. That's bad. That sucks. It's also just a massive lie. It's a bunch of fibs, which is also what you get if you mix those letters around. Yeah, the only pair of breasts I'd seen up until then were my own and what Seji Fergo was posting on Snapchat. That one's for the real OGs, if you know about her. And what doesn't help at all is the fact that I thought, let me pair this shirt with some sort of Barbie pink lower garments. I think they're rugby shorts, but I have a very bad feeling in the pit of my stomach that those are parachute pants, like I'm some sort of break dancer in the 70s. Luckily, we'll leave that to the imagination. I didn't expose myself there. Next up, another problem I'm seeing here with this photo that I need to apologize for: the Jamaican jewelry. This is an awful choice. I don't know why fat me thought I was the right person to be wearing Rastafarian style jewelry. Call me Blob Marley. Because that is an awful image. Bro's a Pastafarian. Green, red, and yellow Jamaican jewelry. Jamaican, very unhealthy life choices there, pal. That's obvious. And another spoiler, this glass of champagne that I'm cheersing at the camera, that's sparkling apple juice. The trim's bad. It's all not great. This was a low point for me. This was at 15 years old. There's another phase shortly after this where I got even fatter. I was very, very overweight I want to say between 14 until 16. I gained a lot of weight very quickly, and that was a result of a couple things. Let me give you the recipe to this disaster of how this happens. I only started to gain weight at around 13, 14 because I was a very athletic kid. I played just about every sport my parents would sign me up for. We're talking football, rugby, cricket, baseball, swimming, trampolining, martial arts. Like, genuinely, I played just about every sport I could get my hands on. And always ate very healthy food. Both my parents are athletic. Both my parents are very smart in the nutritional and exercise realm. So I grew up making very good decisions when I was under their complete control. But then, around 13, when I started to get some freedom, some autonomy in these lifestyle choices, was when I discovered the world of gaming. I got very, very into gaming around this age. Both esports, competitive Call of Duty, and the world of Skyrim, Elder Scrolls. This kid right here spent more time in Whiterun than he did outside. And that was one of the main drivers for why I gained so much weight. I got very into gaming. It's a very sedentary lifestyle. I didn't do much. Stopped playing a bunch of sports because I got the freedom to choose whether or not I wanted to. And at the time, much preferred the gaming route. And secondly, I got a little bit of freedom with the food choices I was making, which for this kid, alongside gaming marathons, was all unhealthy choices. What I would do, the last day of the week, Thursdays for us, our weekends was Friday, Saturday. So after school on Thursday, head home, crank on the PS4, crank on the Xbox 360, depending on what game we were playing. And I would bring up my set of snacks for the night. I was getting set up for a marathon because all the boys would be online, but they were my gaming friends in the US. So there was this time difference between Dubai and the US, so I was gaming until the early hours of the morning. So I would have to bring up all my snacks with me, which for some reason would always be a box of cereal. We're talking Golden Nuggets, Nesquik chocolatey balls, Trix, Fruit Loops, Cheerios, anything I could really get my fat little hands on. And then I would have a liter of milk and a mixing bowl. My mum is an avid baker, so we had all these utensils in the house. What I would do is I would fill that mixing bowl with my cereal of choice for the day, pour the appropriate amount of milk in, eat that cereal, and then with the leftover milk, top it up with more cereal, and then eat that. When the milk's finished, top that up, rinse and repeat. And alongside that, no great choices after that. This would be accompanied by 4 to 6 Lucozades, a couple Nestle iced teas, crisps, chocolates, Haribos, sour punks. I was impartial to a peanut M&M, incredible. And this was on top of the healthy food that my mum was giving me, so I was already consuming all the necessary amount of meals and then snacking on top of that. Now, the combination of this gaming sedentary lifestyle and my unhealthy food choices led to tits. And it only got worse from this point. There's a whole phase after this where I continued to gain weight, but it's all undocumented. This was a period of my life where I didn't want to be photographed. I didn't want any evidence that I looked like that because I was very, very fat and very insecure. And I think that's what these sort of graphic tees are about. I had a bunch of different graphic tees on the go. I had one that said WTF, where's the food? Because I was fat. I had one that said I'm currently away from my computer. I was. I had one that said, keep staring at me, I might do a trick. I had ones that said, six-pack, coming soon. All of these graphic tees that I thought were funny, and I thought they would sort of pull the attention away from my gut. You know, they say like trying to put lipstick on a pig? This was me trying to put humorous, funny, graphic tees on, well, a pig. The thing is, I didn't realize I was getting fat at first because I never thought about it. I never thought about what I looked like. All these lifestyle choices I was making were second nature. I played sports, I ate healthy, and I looked like an athletic kid until I didn't. But I had this body dysmorphia where I didn't realize I was getting fat because I never had to think about it. It wasn't something in the front of my mind that I was addressing until people started making comments about sort of the number of chins I had, the size of my tits, the fact that you could fit like a baby's fist in my belly button. All of these comments started to come in, and I thought, maybe I am fat. And then possibly a year later is when I addressed it, when I started to do something about it. There's a phase in between these two as well, where I hadn't started going to the gym with the goal of gaining muscle just yet, but I wanted to be not fat. As a teenager, you don't want to stand out, and at that age, you're trying to get bitches, yo, and you're not going to when you look like that. The last thing you want to be is the kid that stands out for being fat. I mean, teenagers are brutal as is. Luckily, I sort of had a sense of humor about it. I could take the piss out of myself. I could have a bit of fun with it. But ultimately, I didn't want to be fat. I didn't want to be that person. So I set out to just lose weight. I didn't have any goals for gaining any muscle. I just wanted to get rid of all of that fat. And the way that I went about it was calorie restriction and energy expenditure. I went on loads of runs. I was biking a lot, doing loads of cardio under the instruction of my parents who could tell me what exercises I need to be doing. But all I wanted to do is burn calories and eat less. Looking back, it was sort of a crash diet. I did eat very little, but it was very healthy choices. Meat, vegetables, and there wasn't much information out there at the time, so I did the best that I could with the information I was given. And we can find a photo from that time somewhere around here. This was me in about 2016, I want to say. So I was born in 2000. So we just do simple subtraction there. I'm good at math. This was that phase where I was getting skinny. I definitely lost fat. Whoa, my face looks so different. My trim's awful. God, what is that top? The sleeves, man. The worst part about that is you can see I didn't even roll those sleeves. I purchased this shirt with the sleeves stitched, as if anyone needed to see these absolute weapons, these guns, this armed machinery that I thought people needed to be witness to. That sucks. But yeah, this is that phase where I got very skinny, and weirdly enough, I hit a growth spurt at the same time that I started this weight loss journey in 2016. Grew like a foot, and then I became a lanky, stringy mess, which was when I then started to pursue gaining muscle, learning how to train in the gym with the goal of getting bigger. And my first steps in doing so was I went on YouTube. I searched how to do it, and I did exactly that. The people I discovered were the David Lades, the Ryan Caseys, the Dylan McKennas, the Jeff Nippards. I got into sort of this power building era where I thought if I just get very strong at squat, bench, and deadlift, there's no way I didn't gain muscle. That's essentially what my research told me. If I got strong, I would get big. I went through a bit of a dirty bulking phase under the instruction of sort of the David Lades, those teenagers in the industry that were sort of 3 years older than me, so I saw them as my sort of my trajectory. And I guess I got strong. I gained some muscle alongside, and I just sort of started getting some practical experience. I was always very married to scientific method, evidence-based approaches, and the educational side. But obviously, in this game, physical experience is always going to be better than anything you can find in a book or any instruction you can get from anybody. So this was sort of that phase where I was experimenting different training techniques, learning how to train intensely, learning how to program, learning how to be consistent. Because from day one, I was consistent. I knew what my goals were, and I knew what I needed to do to get there. I just didn't know how to make the absolute best decisions at the time. And like I said, went through a bit of a dirty bulking phase. This was around then, about 17, I want to say. Yeah. You can't see it because of my face cam, but it says here, squat 125 kg, bench 92.5, deadlift 140. And then this is when I took my gap year. This was when I finished school, and I started to hone in on my physique development goals. I started to focus on bodybuilding. I wanted to get big. God, how many photos did I take this day? Is that the same outfit? That is. Just a little photo shoot day there, apparently. Here's me between 2017 and November of 2018. So this was the start of my gap year when I started to focus on bodybuilding. This was when I discovered natural bodybuilding. People like AJ Morris, people like Josh Bridgman, people like Jack Thorburn. Those were the people I started to look up to. They were giving out some very good information about programming, nutrition, supplementation, lifestyle. Some more gains here. Let's go through this timeline very quick. You can't see the caption again, but here I tagged Ryan Casey for his mean, mugging, most muscular pose is what he called it. And my hernia surgery. I was out for a couple months with a hernia, umbilical hernia. Nothing crazy. It was just a case of I either get it fixed or wait for it to get worse and then have to get it fixed. So I thought this was a career-ending injury. Thought I was never going to be able to compete in bodybuilding after this. Thought my abs were going to look ruined. Thought training was going to go to shit and I was going to lose all my muscle. Little did I know I didn't have much to lose. Here is a mini cut I went through in 2018, still in school for this. This was before I went to INSTA. This was the end of that big push-up, my first bulk. And this was a mini cut that I ran under the instruction of Jeff Nippard and his YouTube channel, everything he was putting out on how to calculate your macros, how to program your training, your cardio. You can tell I started to figure out what it is that I was doing, and I was doing it consistently. I moved on to more bodybuilding training. I moved on to prioritizing the specifics of programming, of nutrition, of intensity. I started to sort of measure all the variables that I could, because I'm very much a person of I can only manage variables that I measure. So I'm very much about data collection and utilization. We're getting into the lockdown uni era, which is, like I said, for the coming episodes. But this should have given you a rough idea of where it is that I came from. A fat little teenager fueled by sugary cereal, and then into a drastic deficit to try and lose all of that fat. And then we made our way into resistance training, put on some muscle, and the rest is history. That is sort of where my bodybuilding journey began and how I sort of went about things from day one. Like I said, there's going to be a whole bunch of episodes of this. We're going to break this into a bit of a series. There's a whole bunch of content for us to go through. Subscribe to this channel. There's a bunch of things coming out here. We're talking training footage, podcast episodes, some funny videos, more of these reactions. Not all bodybuilding related. We're going to be posting on here as frequently as possible. But that is it for today's episode of this series. Like I said, there's a bunch more to come, so subscribe and follow along. Follow the Instagram, like the video, throw something in the comments. There's a lot to look forward to. But for now, from the female body inspector himself, that is it. So I will see you guys next time. Peace.